Daniel here for Tabletop for One and my top 5 ways to expand your games. And I thank you for joining me tonight. Now, this comes at the heels of talking about the top 10 ways to not expand, top 10 reasons to not expand your games, not to buy expansions. But one of those things I talked about on the list was to do it yourself, expand your games yourself. And so I have 5 ways that you can do this on your own. And so for number 5, I have add variable player powers to your games. Now I know, like me, some of you have gone out and bought actual expansions that do just that. They add variable player powers. But you can make your own for your games. And so the game I have in mind is Newsfjord. Now, Newsfjord is one of my favorite solo games. It's just this fantastic game about fishing and building out your village and managing the forest and that sort of thing. This game is designed by Uwe Rosenberg, who happens to be one of my favorite designers. And in this game, you are basically doing worker placements. You're selecting an action, doing that action, but you block yourself for the next turn. You're trying to build boats, build out your village, fish for fish, and provide them at this banquet table. And so what you can do to expand this game is to create your own variable player powers. And so some of the things that come to mind are like the banquet table. You could have a player power that when you bring fish to the banquet table, if you fill 2 or more plates, then you gain an extra gold or something like that. Or maybe a player power where you can spend 3 fish instead of 1 gold when building a building. So there are different ways that you can come up with different ideas. Maybe you can get 1 more wood for harvesting a forest or something like that. Variable player powers are always meant to be something small that kind of give you a direction on how you should play the game. And so you don't want something too game breaking, giving you too big of a bonus, but just make it something small to change it up a little bit. And so all you have to do is just write these down on, little index cards or something, shuffle them up, deal 1 to yourself or deal 2 and choose 1, however you want to do it. And then you have a player power for the game. And so it'll change the gameplay experience a little bit. It doesn't cost a thing to make them. And it might just give you that added extra bit of replayability or, a little extra to the puzzle of the game. And so for number 4, I have Confined Spaces. This is where you're taking a game that has maybe unrestricted spaces or unrestricted layouts that you can build out. And instead, you confine yourself to various shapes or grids. And there's a couple games that come to mind, and one of them's Luna Capital, and the other one is Minerva. Now, I haven't talked about Minerva yet because I actually recorded the playthrough for it, but I haven't edited it yet and published it. But Minerva is this tile laying game. It's a tile drafting game similar to Cascadia and other games, but this is a really fun tile drafting and resource management game where you're drafting tiles into your tableau. You have to pay for tiles, but then you can later on activate tiles with your residential buildings in this either the line fashion or the column fashion, and you have all these interesting mechanisms just in this little box. There's a lot to this game. Now the game is free form in how you build out. So you can build your grid as long as you want, as high as you want, however you want to build it out. Of course, some ways are more efficient than others, depending on how you do your activations. But what you could do is you could actually restrict the amount of space that you can grow. So maybe you make it so you can only grow in a 5x5 square. Or maybe you can only grow in a diamond shape, or something like that. Confine the space by which you can grow your city and make it a more puzzly experience that way. And the other one, Luna Capital, I was talking about, you get 3 rows and you can go as many columns, but you only get 12 cards in that game. So maybe you confine it to 2 rows, and that means you have to go 6 spaces long. And that could really change out how you build out those structures on Luna Capital. So there's a lot of games out there that allow you that free-form growth on the board, but perhaps requiring it to go to a specific size or no larger than a specific size might add some added depth to the puzzle that you've already been used to. And so for number 3, I want to talk about achievements. You can add achievements to any game. There is not one game that I know of that you can't add achievements to. And what achievements are, if you don't know what they are basically things that you shoot for, special goals that you normally wouldn't go for necessarily, or that are hard to achieve. And so you make like a list of them, like an Excel or Google spreadsheet of different achievements that you can do to accomplish during the game and go for them. You can even make those a win-loss condition for beat your own score games, where you're trying to, build things a certain way or achieve things a certain way. And one of the games that I think would really benefit from that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. Now, the Guild of Merchant Explorers was a surprise hit for me. I have labeled this one as one of the essential games that a solo gamer should have. It's a fantastic game of kind of network building, and it's a flip and play game. It's where you flip over a card and it gives you an action you can do, and then you place cubes out on the board and you try and build villages and trading posts and all sorts of things like that. And so what you could do for achievements for this is maybe for each map, you could have a list of separate achievements, and one of the achievements for each of the maps could be make it to all 4 monuments and build all 4 monuments. Or maybe you could have an achievement of scoring something like 30 points in trading posts, and just have some way to track that. There are all sorts of achievements you could do. You could even have the 3 main goals, making sure that you accomplish all 3 goals on the most value, the 10-point value, because that's quite challenging to accomplish all 3 of them before the timer ticks down in the solo mode. And so there are a lot of different ways you can add achievements. You can also modify them as you can go. You can go for target scores, and so when you reach that target score, you check mark that on your spreadsheet, and then you add a new entry for your next target score, and let that be your next target score. It could be 5 points, 10 points, whatever higher than that. Whatever it is that you look for in the game, you can make an achievement out of it. You can make it in Newsfjord, where you have to end the game with 10 lumber and a certain amount of points or something like that. There can be a variety of ways that you can make achievements. And like I said, it can go with any game. And it can add to the longevity of the game. It can give you a reason to replay the game. It can give you new challenges to try and go for, which you normally wouldn't go for. There's all sorts of reasons to do achievements in games. And so for number 2, I have scenarios. See, a lot of games can benefit from added scenarios, or games that already come with scenarios. You can make your own and add new ones to add replayability to the game, to give you a new challenging experience, or maybe just to tap into your creative side and help you build out this new scenario that you play and you love. And so there's a lot of games that do this. Cthulhu Death May Die, you can do that. You can do that in Bloodborne. You can do that in a lot of sandbox games, a lot of games with map tiles that can be placed in different ways. And one of the most recent games that I've been liking for that is Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies is this fantastic entry into the Zombicide world. I love the Zombicide games, and Marvel Zombies is no different. I love the superheroes. Superheroes are one of my favorite themes to play in a board game, and so it's great. The miniatures are great and everything. But the game comes with plenty of scenarios, but all the Zombicides have always been designed around the idea that you would make your own scenarios, because you have all these different map tiles, you have all these different characters to fight. You can place the spawn points wherever you'd like. You can place them in the middle of the map if you wanted to. You can place them on the outer edges. You can place them in specific rooms. You can set the goals the way you want to set them. You just have to draw up on a piece of paper how it goes, and like what the goals are and how you accomplish them and what each stage is and that sort of thing. It's not too hard. You just do it and then you try it out. And if it works, it works. If it's challenging, it's challenging. Sometimes it might be too hard, or sometimes it might be too easy, and you may need to add a spawn point, or you may need to up the difficulty in some sort of way, or lower the difficulty in some sort of way. Maybe you have too many blocked rooms, or maybe there's not enough abilities out on the board, places to gain abilities and that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of ways you can expand games like this. Like I said, you can do it with Cthulhu Death May Die. You can take all the episodes in Cthulhu Death May Die and change up the map. You can leave the core goals the same, but change up the map and the spawn points, and that'll change the experience entirely. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can add scenarios to a game. You can even add them to any kind of game. Really, I've added them to Euro games before and all sorts of games. All right, so the last thing I like to do is kind of a combination of some of these that have come before. And it's a combination of achievements, it's a combination of variable player powers, it's a combination of scenarios. It is what I call character progression. See, in some games, there isn't like a character progression between games. Some games where you have one-off scenarios or stuff like that, especially in adventure type games where you just play through one scenario and that's it. Well, one game that I've been doing this for, and I absolutely love it, is Warfighter Pacific. See, now Warfighter is, my number 2 favorite game of all time. I absolutely love Warfighter. I highly recommend it as a solo game. It is like one of the best games I've ever played. There are a lot of rules to learn and stuff like that. It's a war game, and I know a lot of people don't like the war theme, but I think this game is highly thematic. I just love the experience. It's like an adventure game because you have your band of soldiers and you're rummaging through the jungle and trying to get to the objective and complete the objective. Now, what I've done for character progression is I've done kind of an experience system, like an RPG, where at the end of each mission, you earn a certain amount of experience. So you can spend the experience on a skill tree and unlock various things. It could be extra health, it could be extra skills, maybe carrying capacity, things that don't normally count against like your carrying limit or your resource limit. These are added bonuses. Now, this does make the game easier, but it's just a fun experience to develop your character and try and save your XP that you earn during the game till the end, so you can use your leftover experience to spend it on the skill tree and get all these extra abilities and do all these extra things. Oh, it's great. And you can do this with a lot of games. And I love it for Warfighter. I highly recommend coming up with your own system. I haven't published my system yet, because it really kind of breaks the game. It makes your soldiers into super soldiers, but that's okay. I have a blast with it, and you can do the same. It's just a way to expand your game and make it something more than what you've experienced. I've played this game dozens of times. I just wanted something that I could progress with and make my own story. And I love it because I've done it with multiple skill trees for multiple soldiers in the same squad. And it's a blast. It's a blast to play. It's a blast to see them develop. And so there you have it. That was 5 ways in which I expand my games, and I encourage you to do the same. Make some achievements. You make a character progression. Make your own scenarios in Marvel Zombies or something else. Find a way to add to your game. These are cost-effective ways to add to your game. Yes, you have expansions that come out and they look flashy, look shiny, they got nice components and all that stuff, but a lot of this stuff you can do on pen and paper, and it won't cost you a dime, but it'll increase the longevity of the game, or it may help you return to a game that you haven't played in a while, and with kind of this fresh new look at this new content. It may take a game that may have grown stale with you, maybe with Newsfjord. It's the same way. It's the same loop every time you play with just different cards out on the field. Well, now you have variable player powers or achievements to try and go for, or something like that. There are lots of ways to expand your games. I'm definitely curious about your ways. Please let me know in the comments below the ways you've expanded the games for whatever games you've expanded. I would love to hear it because I'm sure a lot of you have done that. I know I've seen it on Facebook, and I've seen people post about, hey, I did this, I made my own variants, I made my own house rules, I've done these different things to expand the game and make it my own and increase the longevity. I made my own scenarios. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it. So let me know, and let me know what you think of this list. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here, and I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.